After a year of lectures, tutorials, discussions, and a chance to observe great teachers on prac, I have collected a lot of information in 1252 EPN. We have investigated many topics, including legislation, policy, standards, ethics, pedagogy, collegiality, communication, and reflective practice. All excellent sources of information for my journey of development from pre-service teacher to professional practitioner. I've also learned that it is not simply enough to have this knowledge, but recognise how it will impact my future career. Despite the existence of a national curriculum and standards, the educational experiences of secondary students in Australia have been widely different. This makes sense. Constructivist theory tells us that our students' educational experience is coloured by the values and the life experiences they bring with them into the classroom. It is individual, unique to each. This is also the case for teachers. We are, after all, people with values, beliefs, and life experiences of our own. If all effective teaching required was information, then the straight row assembly line approach of the past would have met the needs of all students. But it is evident that this is not the case, and that the effectiveness of my teaching and the experience of my students is strongly influenced by me. So, having chosen to become a teacher, how will I apply this new knowledge to be the teacher I want to be? How will I become a highly effective secondary teacher in the 21st century? One of the documents I've learned about is the Australian Institute for Teaching and School Leadership Professional Standards for Teachers, a set of statements which articulates the knowledge, skills and understanding that define good teaching. It provides me a starting point to develop my evidence-based philosophy on how I will be an effective secondary teacher in the 21st century. Classrooms today are more diverse than ever before. Technology and the ability for people to be mobile global citizens has reduced the size of our world, so students from a diverse array of backgrounds with vastly different sets of abilities will be sitting in my classroom. To be effective, I will need to reject the notion of ability as fixed, and the idea that the presence of some will hold back the progress of others, and focus instead on the learning of all students. I will structure lessons which include learning experiences for every student in the class without singling them out as different or making any assumptions on the limits of their ability. In fact, the Melbourne Declaration on the Educational Goals for Young Australians tells me I must provide each child with access to a quality education free from discrimination and learning that aims to fulfil the diverse capabilities of each of them. So not only is this inclusive philosophy my personal position, but it is a national aim for the education of each Australian child. Knowing the curriculum and understanding content will be important, but knowing how to bring this content to life so the students engage with it will ensure effective learning. Following the 6 core pedagogical principles for Queensland schools, while finding my own identity as a teacher, will help me achieve this. The 21st century has provided an impressive variety of tools to augment and transform teaching and learning. Finding the most effective intersection of the tools, the content knowledge, and the pedagogical approach will make the learning relevant to my 21st century students. My students will learn and demonstrate understanding in many ways, so I will need to create opportunities to reflect this. Having a student-centered approach, I can provide connections that link learning to the real world I am preparing my students to enter. By removing myself from the front and centre of the classroom, taking away the rows of desks, and asking questions, not just to confirm understanding, but to get new creative answers and deeper knowledge of the content, I can spark their creative thinking in any subject. To be successful, I will need to plan for a behaviour-friendly classroom and set my students up to succeed. Providing direct instruction about the goals and expected output of the learning using appropriate scaffolding having established routines that set the rules of engagement in the classroom, I can create a safe, supportive and connected and inclusive learning environment. Teaching is not a solitary profession, and as a pre-service and developing teacher, respectful collaboration with professional learning communities and colleagues will enhance my practice. I might even have something valuable to offer in return. Secondary school can be a challenging time for young people, and effectively communicating with parents will link the classroom door with the front door at home, creating a learning space that is supported, connected and valued. Technology has made communicating more efficient, providing the opportunity to not only leave it to when there have been problems, but also for recognition and celebration. There are many community organisations surrounding my school that I can leverage to enhance my teaching. The community of which my future school is a part is important to me as a teacher. I will know it and embrace it because my students are 100% of its future. Knowing and understanding the many legislations, standards, codes of conduct, conventions and policies provides a platform for ensuring their ethical application in my practice. The right to an education is highly valued, and schools form an important part of our social structure. In Australia, almost all people have experienced education for themselves, and each of these people have an opinion on its merits. As such, it's a highly visible profession in the community and media. Being aware of this and advocating for the profession will be important to my aim of being an effective teacher in the 21st century. I place a high value on educators and their important role in shaping the future of the world. My practice will require me to reflect this value and model the face of teaching I want the world to see. But most importantly, I will need to be a lifelong learner. Teaching is ever-changing. Continuous development is not only a professional expectation, but will be vital to keep pace with change. I will need to be the learner I want my students to be, ask questions, seek new ideas, innovate and engage in reflection to improve the quality of my teaching and the experiences I deliver. Successfully completing my degree, prac, meeting the graduate level of AITSL standards and being admitted to teach in Queensland is only the end of the opening scene of my learning adventure. Because choosing to be a great teacher is really choosing to be a great learner. Every colleague, student, every day of my career will provide a new insight, a new opportunity to learn and develop into a truly effective secondary teacher in the 21st century.